Hi, Meg here from I Teach Stamping, and today's card is going to start with some dry embossing. So I've got 5 pieces of Whisper White cardstock that are all 7/8 of an inch wide by 3 7/8 inch long, and I've got the Perfect Polka Dots embossing folder. Just going to close that and then put this into the Big Shot. Put my clear plate on top and zip it on through. And that is all the big shotting that we're going to be doing for today, but that's going to give me all this wonderful texture on these 5 strips of Whisper White. For our next step, I've got a piece of Tempting Turquoise cardstock that's going to be 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and I'm just going to put these Whisper White strips on top. So I'm going to get all 5 of these into place. The base for our card is going to be a piece of Real Red, 5 1/2 inches by 8 1/2 inches, and I've scored it at 4 1/4. And I'm just going to layer this on top. And then we're ready to do our stamping. So the first thing we're going to stamp is the Packed for Mom stamp set, and I'm going to stamp it onto a piece of Whisper White that's 2 1/4 by 2 3/4, and I'm going to be using StazOn ink. Now I'm going to get my ink all nice and inked up with that black StazOn, and the first thing that I'm going to do is stamp it onto a piece of scratch paper. I don't know why this helps. I think it's just what I refer to it as is priming the stamp, but I think once you have it good and inked up and then you ink it up again, it's going to work so much better on your cardstock. So get that good and inked up, and then I'm ready to stamp. Hold it in place for a second, and that StazOn ink is going to be a little bit sticky, so sometimes you'll just pull it right off that cardstock. Then the next thing I'm going to do is ink it up again. And I'm mainly wanting where this teacup is, this coffee cup. I've got a scratch piece of Whisper White, and I'm just going to stamp it again. Then I've got, from the Bring on the Cake stamp set, the Happy Birthday. So I'm going to ink this up. And I've got a strip of Whisper White that's going to be 1 inch long, or 1 inch tall, and then several inches long, but we're going to be trimming it down. So we're going to get this good and inked up, also in that StazOn, and stamp. Alright, then the next thing that we're going to do is start coloring. So I'm going to be using Real Red, Tempting Turquoise, and certainly Celery as my color combinations. Now I'm not going to color in every single aspect on this card. I'm going to hit the highlights. But I thought that this Happy Birthday from the Bring on the Cake really mimicked the image we were using for our card. And so that's why I wanted to be sure to do something where I was coloring in on this part as well. Alright, so I'm going to color in, and we'll be right back. So now that we have all of our coloring in done, I've got a piece of certainly Celery that's going to be 4 inches by 3 inches. I'm just going to layer that colored image over to the left-hand side. Then I'm going to turn to this piece right here. I'm going to use my 3/4 of an inch circle punch. And then I've got a scratch piece of Real Red that I'm going to use the 1 inch circle punch on. And then these are going to get layered together before I lose my little teacup, because I most certainly would, I'm sure. Alright, and then I'm going to take my square punch and just notch out the right hand side of this. I love making these little pennants or chevrons, whatever you like to call them. Then I'm going to take some snail, put it on the back side, and I've got a strip of Real Red that's going to be 1 1/8 inch tall. So this will layer perfectly on there. Then I'm just going to take that punch, slide it back in. I'm lining it up to where that white was and just moving it a smidge. So that's how you'll get that perfect symmetry there. And then we're ready for our ribbon. So I've got some Real Red ribbon, and I'm going to cut a piece, and this is just the 1/8 inch grosgrain ribbon. Grab my ribbon scissors. Then I'm going to use a mini glue dot on each end. Just make sure it's the same side of the ribbon. Peel these off, and this is going to wrap around that certainly Celery, just right in the middle. I'm going to grab dimensionals. Kind of go dimensional crazy here. There we go. Not too crazy. I only use 5. these peeled off. And then this is going to layer on the front of our card. Next, we're going to tend to this happy birthday, and I'm going to use more dimensionals. Just kind of spread those out. Peel these off. And I'm going to put this down here towards the bottom. Next, I've got a bow that I tied using that same 1/4 inch grosgrain ribbon. I'm going to grab another mini glue dot and put that right on top. Now we're going to do the inside. So I've got a piece of Whisper White that's going to be 5 1/4 inches by 4 inches tall. I'm going to put this right to the inside of the card. Then I'm going to take that cute little coffee cup and just kind of tuck it down here in the corner. And then you've got your great little happy birthday card. Okay, so the more I look at this card, the more I need to adjust it. And if you know me very well, you know that I cannot just leave stuff alone. I'm constantly messing with it. So I'm going to take a piece of real red cardstock that's a little bit bigger, this one. I'm going to put adhesive on both sides. And I'm just going to sneak it behind this Whisper White. The more I stared at it, the more I realized it needed more. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, it definitely needed that part. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed today's video tutorial teaching you a quick and easy way to use the Packed for Mom stamp set and how to find a coordinating stamp to go with your sentiment. And I love this color combination. I hope that you enjoy it as well. And then we've got the great little coffee cup on the inside of the card that matches the outside of the card. To learn more about rubber stamping for card making and scrapbooking, be sure to visit www.iteachstamping.com. And remember, I don't just sell rubber stamps, I teach you how to use them. Have a great day.